Dan Hunt, and this is Up Close and Personal. You know, today I have just one of the most interesting people I've met in a very long time, Jeffrey Lee Costell, and you're an attorney at Costell and Cornelius, correct?
Correct.
Now we are at the incredible Aria Hotel Casino Spa in Las Vegas, and we just ran each other in the casino down there. We decided to sit down and do an interview because, guys, you want to sit down and listen to what this guy has to say. He's an attorney, he's a home builder, he's an entrepreneur, and lately he's a producer of an incredible show that my wife and I saw just a couple weeks ago. Jeffrey, thank you so much. Welcome to the program.
My pleasure.
Okay, so let's start off with you. Where did you grow up? Let's not talk about what you're doing now. Where are you from? Where's your roots?
Well, I was born in Manhattan, in New York.
Okay.
Raised on Long Island. And I don't know that I've ever truly, completely grown up, but I'm working on that.
Okay, that's great. When you were a kid, let's just talk about when you were a kid. What did you want to be when you grew up?
A professional ball player.
And where did that come from?
Well, my childhood hero was Mickey Mantle.
Okay.
And I had visions or illusions of actually having the talent to do it.
And in your day, not to say that you're old, but you and I are more than halfway through our lives. Let's say you watch television, and in your day when you were watching TV, it was black and white, correct?
It was black and white.
Black and white. Color, you know, when I was born, color, maybe when we were born, color television wasn't even invented yet.
No, it wasn't there yet.
So you watched black and white baseball, but you also told me that when your dad took you to a ball game, you didn't go to the Yankees.
No, we couldn't afford the Yankees. We went to the Mets.
You went to the Mets. What'd your dad do?
My dad is retired. He was a professional engineer and a mechanical engineer, one of the most preeminent swimming pool designers in the United States.
Really?
He designed the swimming pool at the University of Texas at Austin, the one at New Mexico. He's retired now, though.
And he's retired.
Yeah.
You know, education is very important. I taught at Villanova for quite a while. My wife is a 20-year educator. And we were talking, and you told me a story about an experience you had while you were in college and how that really shaped you, maybe for the rest of your life. Talk to the audience about that story and what that professor did for you.
Well, I hadn't declared a major yet, much to the chagrin of the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Syracuse University. But I decided to take a course just on a whim on environmental law, because you know, the environment was obviously a big issue then as it is now. So I took a course in environmental law, and at the end of the year, the professor asked me, it was the last class, and he asked me to stay afterwards, and I thought I was in trouble for sure, but he said to me, "Jeff, have you ever thought of going to law school?" And I had not thought of it before, but because it was coming from a professor of law at Syracuse University, it meant a lot to me, and I thought about it and decided that I would go over to the dark side and become an attorney. And
well, you didn't just go to law school. You went to one of the law schools. What was it like going to Georgetown? What was it like there?
It was wonderful, because being in D.C., instead, with our constitutional law class, we would talk about the issues, and then we would go to the Supreme Court and watch oral argument on the issues that we were studying in books. And then when we were studying in legislation, how do you make laws, we went to the Senate and watched the debate with, at that time, Teddy Kennedy and
right.
different people. So it was like living in, you know,
Camelot.
Well, it was, yeah, well, yeah, that too. But it was sort of like our classroom was D.C.
Right. So having that environment, very, very different than Stanford or UCLA or USC. It very different because you actually were a part of it as it was growing up.
Right.
Now, you went into big law, right?
Yeah.
Why did you go into big law instead of just getting out of law school and hanging up a shingle yourself?
Oh yeah, well I moved to LA right after law school. I took a plane right from Georgetown because I knew I wanted to be in LA. It was a go west young man
Right.
thing for me, opportunity. I mean I went to public school. We weren't poor, but we were of modest means, and so I decided to go west, young man. And the big law was just I'm competitive by nature, and this is where the excitement and the money and interesting things to do.
Somehow along the way, though, you diverted and started working with home builders. How did that come about in your life?
It was a friend of mine had left the law firm, big law firm obviously is extremely rigorous. I mean, the hours are and the pressure on young people is tremendous. So, a friend of mine made a break for it, and he actually took a corporate job with KB Home. They were known as Kaufman and Broad at the time. Now it's
Right.
KB Home, a public home builder, and I know that he had done that. So I asked them if they needed anybody else, and turns out they did, and so I applied for and got a job there.
And that took you down the road of acquisitions and real estate and that type of thing. So all of the knowledge that you've got from being a lawyer, you applied into this industry.
Yeah, the head of the company at that time was Bruce Carrots, incredibly bright, dynamic man, and he took me under his wing. He liked lawyers. He himself was a lawyer who converted to
Right.
being a home builder. So.
As all things happen, the banks had a little bit of a problem, I guess you might say, in 1990, and you couldn't continue building homes because nobody was building homes at that time. There was no money out there to build homes. So where'd you go from there? What happened in the 90s when that crash hit and you just couldn't go on building homes?
Yeah, I was working at the time for an apartment builder named Jeff Palmer. He's got a company called G.H. Palmer Associates. And I was head of acquisitions and general counsel, but there wasn't a lot to do because very smartly he had pulled back from being in the market.
Right.
So he said, I love you, but I set you free. So I had done a lot of bankruptcy law with the big firm previously, and called up the partner I had worked with. He was now with another big law firm, multi-state firm, and said, do you need help? And he said, are you kidding? Can you be on a plane tomorrow?
So back to your roots, back into law, and then one day you decided to hang that shingle yourself.
Yeah, and I had no business doing it because I didn't have any clients, and
Right.
if I had known what it takes to actually launch a law firm, I wouldn't have done it. But sometimes ignorance is bliss, and you don't know what you're up against, so you just go for it.
Knowing what you know now, would you go back and do the same thing again? Would you launch that law firm again, knowing what you know now?
Yeah.
Would you do it again?
I wouldn't change anything in my life because, you change one thing, you don't know how, I wouldn't have met my wife, I wouldn't have the children
Right.
I have, So I don't look back and say that I would do anything differently, no.
So now, in looking at your bio and reading about you, you've got a pretty big class action suit going on right now. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, my office is in Santa Monica, which is ground zero for the deployment of the Bird Lime scooters all over our streets. And a few months ago, I was walking down the street and I was almost hit by a bird rider. And it was on the sidewalk. And I said, well, somebody should do something about this. And also I was seeing in the news, people were getting hurt right and left because these scooters were not meant for street use. And they're not meant to be on the sidewalk for sure.
So let's just take a step back and make sure that everybody understands a Bird Lime scooter. This is like the old scooter that has a top on it and a skateboard type thing, but it's motorized.
Right.
And so kids are using these and they're not licensed to use them, so anybody can get on one and go anywhere. And they're shooting in and out of traffic everywhere.
And they don't have insurance.
And
there's no training. And they're not street legal. But because, look, these are laudable goals to promote personal mobility and freedom and take some cars off the street, although the jury's out on whether there's really cars
helping
coming
that.
off the street. But those are great, and to protect the environment, these are less polluting than cars. But all those commendable goals, it's still, you should do it in a safe manner. These are not safe for street use. And there's people not just on the scooters where the throttles stick or the brakes, in the middle of traffic, the brakes go. These are scooters that were never meant for street use. And just today, there was an announcement by Lime, one of the companies, that they're doing a major recall of their scooters.
All of their scooters because of those brake and...
No, actually, they're saying now that it has to do with the fact that the batteries can catch on fire, and they had problems with that. But my co-counsel and I think that it also has to do with what we're doing in terms of the lawsuit.
With the lawsuit. So, we talked about real estate, we talked about law, we talked about your shot at pro sports.
I took my shot.
You took your shot. He's 13 years old, but he took a shot. Let's talk about this incredible show that you're executive producing that's right here in Las Vegas. How did that happen? How did you go from lawyer, home builder, real estate developer to executive producer of a Vegas show?
Well, the answer is it was sort of an evolution. I had clients in entertainment, and one of the clients I hooked up with was a guy named Jeff Kutash, who's a consummate producer, choreographer, director of Las Vegas shows.
As a matter of fact, Jeff, I believe, had one of the longest running shows, Splash, in Las Vegas ever, in the history of Las Vegas. It was
That's
one
right.
of the longest running shows.
I think it was 22 years at the Riviera.
At the Riviera.
Yeah.
And the Riviera just recently, they just imploded. I was actually there for the implosion
Yeah,
of that.
but the show didn't cause that.
That's right.
The show ending did not cause that. But yeah, so Jeff is a consummate showman, and so we put together this show along with the help of Michael Francese, who is retired, if you can be retired from the mafia. He was a member of the Colombo crime family, and we weave a history of the mob in Las Vegas with his life story, and it's just gripping. Would you agree?
Oh, my wife and I saw the show about 2 weeks ago, and it is incredible. As a matter of fact, we did a piece on Marcel, who is one of the leads of the show, right here on Up Close and Personal. So if you haven't seen that, you'll want to look him up on our YouTube channel. Just a great, great interview. What an incredible guy he is.
All right, so now I don't have to do a plug for the show, right? He did it for me.
Just an incredible show. Dancing, the choreography, the light design, the innovation of using the space. And one of the things, it's at the Plaza Hotel, which is not one of the A casinos here in Vegas, but the room really, really presents itself for this story that happened in the 50s and 60s. That room is really, the way it was in the 50s and 60s.
Yes, well, as far as the Plaza goes, some of the casinos around town were reluctant to do the show for a couple of reasons. Because it related to the mob and also because of Michael's history.
Right.
But the Plaza, had the courage to do it, and we're in a limited engagement there right now.
Right.
We'll stay if it makes sense, but it also has the history, as you say. So.
Well, I'll tell you, every night that we've been around, it's the house has been packed, and people are just talking about it more and more.
Yeah, it doesn't cost us that much, by the way, to fill that. Those seats with people.
Right, exactly. It's just a...
No, it's really getting great reviews.
It's getting great reviews.
Yeah.
And again, the dancing in this show is just incredible. But you did something that's even different than that. You had this guy that was known as the crown prince of the mafia in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So the crown prince of the mafia is actually in the show and tells his story in the show, breaking that third wall.
Right. Well, that lends authenticity. Michael's story is incredible. Michael is they're talking about doing a feature film on his life. They're talking about a reality television show because Michael's a story of redemption.
Yes.
Michael left the mob of his own volition. He went to prison for 10 years. He did not rat anybody out, so That's why he's probably still with us.
Right.
And he had a complete conversion because he fell in love with a girl who would not tolerate him having a life of crime.
Right.
And she waited for him throughout the 10 years he was there. She was his angel. He talks about in the show how she was in the cell with him, literally, spiritually.
Yes.
Or he wouldn't have made it. And he's a wonderful man, and he found religion and found God. You know, I found God early in my life. He had to go to prison to find it, but.
And you know, one of the most touching aspects of this show is his daughter is actually the lead dancer in the show.
That's right.
And actually portrays her mother
Right.
in this scene in the cell of the show. Folks, if you have not seen this show, I am telling you right now, I have been in the entertainment industry since I was 6 months old. This is one of the best shows I have ever seen in Las Vegas. One of the best shows I've ever seen in Las Vegas. So let's get back to you, because it's all about you.
Well, I do like talking about myself, I have to admit that.
Let's take a look at what you're going to do next. What's in the horizon for Jeffrey Lee?
I don't know. I mean, the answer is, of course, continue running my law firm along with my partner, and we're growing, which is a great thing, and continue to fight for justice and to fight for my clients, and in addition, expand the entertainment work that I do, and keep going with the real estate. I'm also a real estate broker in California, and
Right.
do real estate finance and acquisitions and dispositions of brokerage and development too. I'm a real estate developer. So I'm more of the same, really.
So he's not going to take a break. You're just going to keep going, keep going,
Oh,
keep
no,
going.
no, no. I'm accelerating. I'm not slowing down.
That's absolutely wonderful. Again, Jeffrey, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here on Up Close and Personal.
Thanks.
We truly appreciate it. From the Aria Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, I'm Dan Hunt saying have a great rest of today and an even better day tomorrow.